Have you ever felt like you don't deserve your success? Like you're one step away of being exposed as a fraud, even though you worked hard to get where you are? Today on Change Agent Leadership, we talk about a challenge that affects even the most accomplished leaders, imposter syndrome. I face this myself, and so have many other leaders that I've coached. What I find interesting is that when I talk to others about this topic, most people think they're the only ones that feel this way, but it's far more common than you might realize. Today, we'll explore what imposter syndrome really is, why it shows up, how it impacts us as leaders and those not in leadership, and most importantly, how to overcome it. So, what is imposter syndrome? The definition of imposter syndrome is the persistent belief that your success is due to luck or external factors rather than your own competence. A few statistics. Research shows that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some time in their careers. It's not just a beginner's problem, so to speak. It affects CEOs, executives, and top performers, which might sound odd, but it's a good reminder that we can all be affected by imposter syndrome. Few examples of some famous people who have struggled with imposter syndrome. Michelle Obama has said, "I still have imposter syndrome. It just doesn't go away." Tom Hanks has admitted to feeling like a fraud even after decades of success. Joshua Jackson wrote that the money he made from Dawson Creek in his 20s made him feel like a fraud. And Ellen Golding, the Burn vocalist, shared, quote, "I know I chose this job, but nothing could have prepared me for the ups and downs that come with it," she writes. "I know for sure that a lot of my anxiety has come from what they call imposter syndrome, not believing in myself enough and thinking I don't deserve happiness, which results in wanting to sabotage my own success," end quote. For me personally, I'm not a famous person, but I have had success in business, specifically at FedEx, internationally, and in leadership development. Yet at times, I also struggle with imposter syndrome. Sometimes I'll let one negative comment or my own hypercritical interpretation of someone's reaction overshadow years of experience and success. Logically, I know it doesn't make sense to me, but that's how powerful imposter syndrome can be. Just a reminder, as I said earlier, imposter syndrome is not just for leaders. You don't have to be a leader to experience imposter syndrome. Anyone with responsibilities and expectations from others can struggle with it, whether you're leading a team, raising a family, or starting a new job. Let's talk about three main challenges caused by imposter syndrome that are normal. And if I'm honest, I faced all three of these myself in my life. The first is self-doubt and overworking. Many leaders overwork themselves to prove their value or avoid failure. This leads to burnout and reinforces the cycle of self-doubt. In other words, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I wonder if I can really do the job. So then we overwork to prove ourselves. We begin burning out. That exhaustion distorts our perspective of reality, and the cycle continues. The second is fear of failure and perfectionism. Imposter syndrome often makes us fearful of taking risks or trying new things. Perfectionism sets unrealistic standards and fuels the belief that anything less than perfect is a failure. We create impossible standards for ourselves, standards that no one else has set for us. This robs us of our joy of accomplishment because we're always focused on what we could have done better. And the third challenge is undermining success and avoiding recognition. Even when success is achieved, people with imposter syndrome tend to downplay it. Instead of feeling proud, they think, "I just got lucky this time." Do you ever catch yourself saying, "It wasn't a big deal," when someone praises you? When it was a big deal. You put a lot of work into it. This mindset prevents you from fully recognizing your value and building confidence. Take a minute to pause and reflect. Do any of these resonate with you? For me, the first challenge of self-doubt and overworking are the biggest red flags that I'm falling into imposter syndrome, that I'm believing the lies and my perspective on life of who I am is off. Consider which of those challenges you struggle with. Identifying the cause will help with the following strategies to overcome imposter syndrome. Let's shift from identifying the problem to overcoming it. Today, I want to cover three ways to overcome imposter syndrome. Here are the three strategies that I have found that work. The first one, acknowledge it and normalize it. The first step is to name it. recognizing that imposter syndrome is a pattern of thinking, not a reflection of reality. Remember that and say that word again to yourself. Imposter syndrome is a pattern of thinking, not a reflection of reality. Remember, most high achievers experience it. You're not alone. Have a mindset shift. Feeling this way doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're growing. It really does. You're becoming more self aware and are able to process things like the following and get even more breakthrough. The first one is acknowledge and normalize it. The second is reframe your thinking. Challenge the beliefs that success is just luck. Reflect on the hard work and skills that have actually gotten you here. Replace thoughts like, I don't belong here, with, I've earned my place at the table. I know that sounds prideful, yet if it's true, you have done the hard work. And if you are doing your best, then you can stop and reframe your thinking. Here's a simple exercise that can help with this. Write down recent tasks that you've completed and then rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being poor and 5 being excellent. Look back and ask yourself, are you being fair in your ratings? How would someone else rate you? If you're averaging 3 or higher, you're likely doing better than you think. The takeaway is they are not all ones. You're not an imposter. You can complete tasks and add value. Celebrate that you are adding value, which leads to the third way to overcome imposter syndrome. Celebrate wins and accept praise. Keep a success journal. Write down your accomplishments and positive feedback. This will force you to acknowledge the facts and not let your mind distort what was actually said. When someone compliments you, resist the urge to downplay it. Just say thank you with a smile. Lastly, take dedicated time to reflect on your wins. At the end of each week, write down 3 to 5 wins. At the end of each month, reflect on your highlights. This builds a mental bank, if you will, of proof that you are capable and deserving this. Why would you do this? Because your mind will naturally focus on the negative. You have to train it to notice the positive. In other words, when imposter syndrome kicks in, you have to give yourself real, tangible steps to switch your thinking from focusing on the negative to noticing the positive. This will eventually lead you to focusing on the positive and not fixating on the negative. How does imposter syndrome affect leadership? Well, one way is avoiding delegation. Leaders with imposter syndrome fear that handing off work will expose them as incompetent. One possible solution is to start small. Delegate low-risk tasks first to build trust and confidence in your mind with other employees. Frame delegation as a way to empower others, not expose yourself. Another way is micromanaging. Imposter syndrome can lead to excessive control because you don't trust others to deliver. One solution: set clear expectations with timeframes and give room for others to succeed. Trust the process. Remember, leadership isn't about doing everything yourself. And the third challenge for leaders is difficulty receiving feedback. Positive feedback feels uncomfortable. You assume people are just being kind. Solution: don't overthink it. Just say thank you and move on. In conclusion, feeling like an imposter is not proof that you don't belong. It's a sign that you're growing. The fact that you care about doing well means you're already on the right path. 2 small challenges for all of us this coming week. Write down 3 accomplishments you're proud of and own them. Notice when imposter thoughts show up and challenge them. You're not an imposter. You're a valuable human being, regardless of your role or status. Keep growing, keep showing up, and trust that you belong. If you found this helpful, please like and follow. And if you know someone who might benefit from this, share it with them.